This time I'll call the April 21st, 2022 meeting to order for the Dixon County Commission. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today we have two additions to the agenda. The first one is a resolution, and it's to give some amendments to the burn procedures in Dixon County. The second one is to authorize one of the commissioners to sign payroll because we'll be at meetings next week. And with those two additions, I'd move we approve the amended agenda. So got the motion, and Ron, you were the second?
Nope, I wasn't.
You were the second.
Chamberlain.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the April 14th meeting. It also includes expenditures of $361,075.69, a security wire of $4,000, a credit card, expenses of $32,121.08, utilities $14,952.34.
I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have the motion and the second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Commission comments, Ron.
Yes, on Monday I spent a little time at the detention center in Junction City and went over the finances and of the business. They're doing quite well. Got to attend the robing of Judge Googler. Quite a turnout, quite a festivity to see and witness. And I got to go to the Republican Party deal the other night, and it was an outstanding turnout. So it was a pretty busy time.
Okay, thank you. Craig.
I have nothing.
Okay. I happened to be at a couple of the events that Ron was at, and that robing ceremony, it's nice to see the new courthouse and the remodeling portions that have taken place, but also the importance of our justice system and the seriousness and responsibility you can just sense it that judges have and those that are all a part of the court system. So anyways, a great event to attend. Earlier today, we took a tour of the facilities here, a partial tour, just to kind of see how some of the offices are going. And, I just kind of an observation. I think you look at some of the morale of the employees. I think they're eager to serve the public. They're eager to welcome to this facility, but also they have a nice working environment. And I think it's something that everyone can be proud of. I mentioned to the Register of Deeds, Rose Johns, just now, I said, you've got such a nice office here. And she gave a comment I appreciated. She says, this is the office that belongs to everyone in the county and all the taxpayers. And I just happen to work here. And, I think that is an attitude that prevails, that we are here for the citizens of the county. Earlier today, too, we had some discussions about the road 1400 Avenue and safety issues, and perhaps trying to look at some funding that perhaps we can get some road improvements on that, but also kind of a reminder that, people need to drive safe. Not all the roads are like interstate where they have an extra lane and wide shoulders and 75 mile per hour is the posted speed limit. And when you get on some of these blacktop roads or county roads, you need to factor that in, that there's not the margin of safety with the shoulder widths and so on. And really that's what we want everybody to be safe, because we have a lot of heavy trucks going through here. Harvest will be here before we know it. We have a lot of farm equipment and things going on. So anyway, just be mindful of that. We do not have any proclamations today. This would be opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone that is here that would want to make a comment, or someone joining us online, this would be your opportunity to bring up any matter that is not on the agenda. And we do not have any public comments at this time, so we'll go ahead and move on to our report of the county officers. Our county administrator, Brad, if you'd give your report at this time, please.
Okay, Monday, Martin and I went up to Clay Center and met with the Clay County Commission and went over the agreement for the First Road Bridge and the engineer's estimate that was just updated. And they were very responsive to that. They actually took action in that meeting to authorize their 27% portion of that whenever it's needed. So we were pleased, and they thanked us for coming up and giving them the update on keeping them in the loop. So Tuesday night, we had our first 911 advisory board meeting that we've had for several years. With the pandemic and the switch in 911 directors and just everything else going on, we hadn't held one. And as you may or may not know, the 911 advisory board was put into place back in 2000 is when it was initially compiled for the purposes of bringing everybody in emergency services together, from dispatch all the way to the fire and police departments, to get everybody on the same sheet of music, working together. And their main function is to come back to recommend to you or to me or to the 911 director any changes in policy or procedure, or anything funding changes that have to do with emergency services. So the two big items of that night were communications and then the burning resolution. So I think we'll talk about the burning resolution in a little bit, but it was a consensus of the group that night to start researching and looking at switching the county over to the state's 800 communication system in the future. I think we all recognize it's probably several years away, but we can start budgeting for that now so that each agency can afford to make that move. So we'll be researching that as we move forward, and we'll brief you and keep you up to date on that. K-Camp will have a representative, a contracted representative here Monday to meet with us and go through all of the buildings that we have for assets to make sure that they're properly insured. And Chancy's scheduled to meet with them. So it's nice to have that insurance, our insurance company come in and keep that up to date so that we don't have a loss and realize that we're underinsured on it. I've scheduled the annual PBC meeting for May 5th here at 9:30. We had intentionally held off on it from the first year because of our being relocated, and hopefully that morning, if those board members come and attend, we can give them a brief tour of the courthouse too, since they're the ones that technically U-Tree and the four of them are the lien holders, if you will, of the project for the bond. So. And then I think, as far as I know, the Abilene Municipal Court is still scheduled to start their first court here May 2nd. Is that right? Yeah. So we've got pretty much everything set up for them, with the exception of the software that needs to be put on the computer and then the printer. But other than that, I think we're ready to go for them. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Doug?
We finished the tax sale, of course, and Judge Rozier approved all of the journal entries. And we prepared deeds, and the sheriff has signed all of the deeds, as has the clerk of the court verified those. And those have been delivered to Register of Deeds. So all of that is completed, with the exception of one parcel that has a significant refund due of about $6,000. And so we've sent notice out. We'll be sending notice out that there's the people who own that piece of property may have some money coming back to them. Taxes are paid in full. The property's been sold. So there's where that stands. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. On notices and communications, we had a few emails that we have received. One was concerned about on their taxes, and they had been to the treasurer's office and had a concern about that, and they did send a letter to the treasurer's office as well as us. One of the issues that was in there was actually some research shows it's from some taxes back in 2016. And that's something, if someone goes to the treasurer's office, they don't have the ability necessarily just to say, we're going to wipe off a penalty or interest payments. So it's important to keep your taxes current, but if it is something where you missed a year or part of a year or something was overlooked, it's just best to take care of that and straighten that out. One of the things is, and Brad, maybe, I don't know if you want to elaborate on it, but just perspective of, it's not the treasurer's office that just sets the rules and say, this is what we'll do for our office. I mean, there's some uniformity, and maybe that's more of a legal question, but I just,
Well, most of us do.
for clarification.
State statute on what they can do and what they can't do. So.
So that's kind of the long and short of it, but we appreciate, we want to try to get things wrapped up and settled the best we can. So we also had a letter, and this was from just the Kansas Historical Society notifying us on the house, their Liggett House or Liggett House, not sure the pronunciation on it there at Harrington. And it's just for a historical review of that particular house. Are there any other comments or anything anyone received that want to pass on at this time?
I received an invitation to the Dixon County Trade Show that will be held April the 25th at Hope National Bank, and on the May the 2nd here at the Greyhound Hall of Fame. So that'd be something folks want to know.
Okay. And we also do have a KCCA conference in Salina that the commission will be attending, and that's going to be part of a addition to our agenda item, but that's going to be taking place, and so we will not be meeting here next Thursday, so the commissioners can attend that convention. We do not have any unfinished business or other business. I'll go ahead, and before we go to the two items added to the agenda, the first item on the agenda we had was the appointment of Casey Reedy as the commission representative in the county 911 advisory board. Brad, do you have a comment on that, or?
Yeah, the advisory board is made up of a representative from each one of the emergency services disciplines. John Holgren, Chancey, and then each city has a representative, and typically it's the fire chief or the police chief. And then you have a representative that's appointed by the county commission as well. And it's typically from the public sector or somebody that's not already on that board. Casey in the past had served in that capacity as the representative of the fire council and first responder council, which that organization is no longer intact. And so I had reached out to him and asked him if he'd be willing to serve in the capacity representing the county commission. He said he would. So he's been a good member. I think it would be good to keep him on the board. My recommendation would be for you to appoint him to the advisory board.
Okay. Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second that we appoint Casey Reedy as the commission's representative to the county 911 advisory board. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. One of the items we added to the agenda, this is a resolution to amend the burning procedures in Dixon County, and this has to do with grassland and stubble and sometimes burn piles. Brad, would you want to give a summary of what changes we're considering here?
Yes, you had heard from the Chamberlains a couple of weeks ago, and Paul Freilich had actually brought it to my attention prior to that as the fire chief of Fire District Number 1. One of the issues we have every year, and it's been worse some years than others. It seems to be worse this year because of the dry situation we're in. The agricultural community has a mandatory burning that they need to do on some of their CRP properties to be eligible for their funding and to complete that process. And if we're in a burning ban, they're unable to do that legally, of course. And so we are we are suggesting that you make an amendment to the resolution that authorizes the fire chief to have a third category of burning. Currently, we have one that is open burning as normal. We have a second category that is banned burning. So there'll be no burning authorized in the county. And this third category would be allow the fire chief to authorize burning of grassland in certain areas for agricultural purposes. And so the wording that we are recommending that you add to paragraph 7, which describes the categories, would be the fire chief shall also have the authority to authorize limited burning in grassland areas when required for agricultural or crop rotation. So that would allow them to, certain times when it needs to be done, it may not be perfect for open burning, but it's safe enough that they could do their burning, allow them to authorize farmers to be able to do their burning as they need to do so.
Okay. And they did mention the procedures that when someone is called in to and received authorization, that they receive notice by text and they're able to measure what's going on and how many burnings are actually taking place in their district. And so they have the awareness of that. And of course, that's the important thing is people need to call in. And all in all, they do a great job of doing that. So
Yeah, the map on our website will reflect what the status is in the particular fire districts. Currently, if the district is red, that means there's no burning allowed. If it's green, that means burning is allowed. You have to call in and you're able to register that controlled burn. And the IT department is going to put in a third category, which would be yellow, which would mean that agricultural burning would be allowed if you call in and register that. So
I'd go ahead and make the motion and move that we adopt resolution 042122, amending our burning procedure here in Dixon County.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion or question in regards to this resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item we have was to an authorization to, since we're not meeting next week, to have someone come in and sign the payroll. I might be gone on Thursday. I mean, typically I've done that and would be glad to, but I don't know if it would be ready Tuesday when I would still be available to sign that, or if we just need to have one of the other commissioners come
Why
in.
don't we just do it? If you can't do it, I'll come through and want to come back to slime.
Okay. So I think we could just make the motion that one of the commissioners will do that, and then I'll let Brad know if I'm going to be out of town or not. But probably Craig, you should count on doing it.
Okay.
Most likely. Any other discussion? I'll go ahead and move that we authorize one of the commissioners to sign the payroll. And we have no meeting next week.
And I'll second that.
Have the motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it, and this is a new record for our new digs for a short meeting.
You can sign it.
We do have a couple things we need to sign, yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Yeah, Craig just want to make sure everything got signed before we left.